Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the top carrier oils. I've only chosen 8 different carrier oils where some of them are not the general carrier oils that we might think of, where typically a carrier oil is derived either from a nut, a seed, or a kernel. So that's kind of where you have your coconut, your jojoba, your almond. That's where those are like the majority of the ones that you see and hear of. Other ones are also like oat oil, pumpkin seed oil, shea nut oil, walnut oil. Those are also different ones. Those ones I haven't touched upon, but these are probably some of the most common ones that I use regularly in either blends, or I recommend them regularly based off of what their therapeutic purposes are. So carrier oils are generally made up of fatty acids such as oleic and linoleic acids, where when we look at the difference between a carrier oil versus an essential oil is a complex combination of volatile components. So that's where an essential oil is. If you leave the bottle open, it can vaporize depending on that, what it is. If you leave it out in the sun, it can evaporate as well for some of the citrus oils. Whereas a carrier oil, the shelf life is also a lot lower. So for example, depending on how the carrier oil is extracted, as well as whether it's fractionated or not, then its shelf life could be shorter. So for example, if you have a fresh coconut, a virgin coconut oil, typically the shelf life for those are only 6 months, where you notice that if it's been sitting outside in the heat, it gets that rancid smell to it, and that's typically where carrier oils can go bad. Whereas generally essential oils, even if a pure unadulterated essential oil is 10, 15 years old, when you open up that bottle, if it isn't diluted, if it's completely pure without adulteration, it should still have the main therapeutic value. Its properties and percentages may go down slightly, but the therapeutic properties will still be intact, and some of the aromatic profiles might shift a little bit depending on if it's blended or not blended. And then when we also talk about carrier oils, it also has fatty acids in it. So that's where it's a great combination for the skin, and then using them in combination with the essential oils to make them safer for topical application. So when we talk about essential oils, there are some essential oils that doTERRA has that we can use neat. However, the majority of all essential oils we should be diluting in order for increased absorption, reducing skin sensitivity and any irritation that might be occurring. Whereas when you're using an essential oil, you want to remember that a little goes a long way, and that's where dilution is absolutely necessary for any essential oil, because that's the best way that it's going to get absorbed in to the skin. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is doTERRA's fractionated coconut oil. So doTERRA has their fractionated coconut oil. They also have, like for the US markets and Canadian markets, they have a body oil where you'll see it's like a blend of different oils. They also have like a sensitive skin carrier oil where you can then add in your essential oils into these. The best thing about the fractionated coconut oil is that it has no aroma to it. The shelf life for fractionated coconut oil, where the difference is that the high chain fatty acids are removed from the coconut oil to preserve the shelf life as well. And then to also allow you to use the coconut oil for sensitive skin, for acne prone skin. This is where fractionated coconut oil is actually really good, because of the fact that it doesn't have that greasiness. It doesn't have the aroma that people usually say, okay, sometimes people love coconut oil, the aroma of it, and some people don't. And this is where this oil allows the essential oils to just shine, because there isn't any aroma that's associated with the fractionated coconut oil, that you can then add in whatever essential oils you have, and those will be your prominent aromas that you're smelling. And this is one that's great for summers as well as for hot weather. So typically when someone says, okay, my skin is very oily, fractionated coconut oil is actually a very good one, because usually when your skin is really oily, it's usually the sebum and it's usually the skin telling you that it's actually really dry, and then it's creating excess oil to compensate for it. So fractionated coconut oil is a great one for that balance. It's a great one to be using as like a makeup remover, just kind of massaging into your face, over your eyes, your eyelashes, and just wiping down with like a warm cloth afterwards. So I do have like a little DIY recipe that's there, but this is where it is one of the most versatile carrier oils that I absolutely love. And it's a daily oil. And what I do is the fractionated coconut oil comes in, it's not a glass bottle. It does come in a certified plastic bottle. So if you're going to be adding essential oils into it, I would recommend transferring it into a glass bottle and just diluting like a larger amount. So at the end, I'm going to talk about dilutions because that's also important for us to go over when we're talking about some of the carrier oils. The next one, which is great as we're starting to come into colder seasons and the winter months. Jojoba oil is a great one where this is the best the best carrier oil that resembles the skin's sebum. So this is where it is a great moisturizer. It's a great conditioner for the hair, for the scalp, for the face, for the skin, for the full body. And this is one that's also fairly lightweight. It's not a heavier oil. However, it is a great moisturizing oil, and it's also great for retention. So this is one where we were talking a little bit earlier about geranium offline. This is one where when you're talking about, especially for the winter months, adding in a couple drops of geranium into jojoba oil and using it onto your face, onto your scalp, it's so nourishing, where geranium essential oil is a great one to be pairing with this because it allows that moisture retention to be held into the skin. And this is where the makeup, the chemical makeup of jojoba oil is that it allows your skin to have a balanced skin oil production. It helps with minimizing fine lines and wrinkles. It adds that shine and that gloss to your hair. So there's so many different ways that you can use each of these carrier oils. The next one is almond oil. So again, with almond oil, you can buy fractionated almond oil. Almond oil comes as sweet almond oil or bitter almond oil. I find sometimes the bitter almond oil fractionated works very nicely, especially if you're doing something for the scalp or if you're doing a massage oil. So this is one where if you're planning on offering someone a massage oil, or maybe like 100 ml or 1 cup or 2 cup carrier oil with essential oils blended in, this is a great one where it has vitamin E, where it's very rich in vitamin E. It helps with improving the complexion. So when we're talking about skin tone, pigmentation, dry, irritated skin, this is a great one to be using across the whole body. And this is where almond oil is very mild. It's hypoallergenic. So as a carrier oil, this is a great one to be using. And this is one where you can mix it in to make it almost like a scrub. So for example, if you're making a skin scrub, instead of, you can add in some of the finer kernels of the almonds, you could add in like sugar, or you can add in salt or coffee into that, and then use that as like a scrub for your body before you're going into a bath or a shower. So this is a great one. And when we talk about spas and salons, for your nails, your cuticles, for your hands, your fingers, this is a great one to be using as well too. Then castor oil. So castor oil is one that not a lot of people think of as often as a carrier oil. This is a very thick carrier oil. However, this is one of the ones that I highly recommend, especially for cancer patients, for breast cancer patients as well. Castor oil is one of the best carrier oils to be diluting in because it has a lot deeper penetration properties into the skin. Because of its thick viscosity that exists, this is where it's great for your scalp. It's great for breast support as well too. So for example, if you have a history of breast cancer in your family, there are great blends that you can create with your essential oils and use maybe castor oil as the carrier oil. And if you're finding that castor oil is just too thick, do 50-50, right? You can mix carrier oils as well too. You don't have to keep one carrier oil as a consistent. It can be a blend of carrier oils as well too, to get what you're expecting out of your products that you might be selling. So this is a great one for hair growth, mixing it in and making like a larger bottle. Castor oil, again, I always recommend. So some of the other carrier oils you can store them in plastic. Castor oil is one that you should generally purchase in glass, or if it is in plastic, transfer it into glass as soon as possible, because castor oil has similar properties to essential oils where it can leach some of the toxins from the plastic bottles if it's stored in a plastic bottle over a period of time. So this is where just being mindful that you're storing your carrier oils as safely as possible as well too. So this is one where it promotes hair growth. It's soothing for dry skin. This is one where you can use it on the bottom of your feet if you have dry, scaly feet, as the seasons are changing, elbows. This is a great one to be using on any area that might be feeling a little bit thicker. Then we have the Kalangi oil. So this is one where typically we know it as nigella seeds or black cumin seeds. And generally, most people will soak these seeds and drink them or internally take them for anti-inflammatory properties, for digestive support, as an antioxidant. So this is a great one where it is a very good carrier oil where it has all of those properties in it. And this is where it can be either used for soothing the skin. So for example, for anyone that might be having rosacea or redness in the skin, this is a great one for soothing, especially when you're adding in Roman chamomile into it. For rosacea, tea tree may be a little bit harsh, so I would probably do either geranium or lavender along with the Roman chamomile, and this is a great one to be using. This is one that I also blend into hair blends because Kalangi is a general great oil for the scalp as well too. So this is a great one to be massaging into the scalp. For example, if someone has joint pains, elbow pains, knee pains, this is a great oil as a carrier oil too. Then the other one is grape seed oil. So here, this is also extracted from the seed of grapes. Grapeseed oil is very good where it's also another lightweight oil. So you'll see that we've talked about some heavier oils, and then we're talking about some of the lighter oils. So depending on the person's skin type, depending on what weather climate they're experiencing, this is where you want to be adjusting it. So for example, if you are making someone a skincare blend, I find 30 ml is the perfect amount to make, because it usually lasts about a month and a half if they're using it daily, sometimes multiple times a day. And that's where always change up the skin blends that you're maybe creating or maybe making for yourself, because the climate's always changing. Your skin is always changing, where it gives you that time frame to be able to say, okay, during some of the summer months, I'm able to use grapeseed oil. As the weather changes, I will then change over to jojoba oil, or maybe mixing in grapeseed with some of the Kalangi, or grapeseed with the castor oil, depending on what you're looking to do. So this is where grapeseed is a great one for tightening and toning, as well as for regulating oil production. So if you're finding that someone has very dry skin or very oily skin, or like a T-zone, this is a great one for that as well too, as well as acne prone skin. So this is one where they could do it as either like an overnight mask, they could use it as a face mask, or they could use it as a scalp mask for some people that might have excessive dandruff. This is a great one as well too, to be using into the scalp. Then we have Rosehip. This is one of the best carrier oils as well too, where this is a great one for acne scars, hyperpigmentation, sunspots. This is a great carrier oil to be using to dilute your essential oils into. So this is where you'll see that the DIY recipe, it includes geranium as well as rose oil into the rosehip oil for skin brightening. So this is where doTERRA has their set of moisturizers and creams, but you can always create your own with oils as well too, using the carrier oils as well as the essential oils and finding what works for you and then what also works for your clients. So this is one where for scar treatments, facial serum, stretch mark prevention. So for example, throughout pregnancy as well, this is a great one to be using. Anti-aging. So there are so many different ways that you can use each of these carrier oils. Then the next one that I'm going to talk about is Calendula oil. So this is one that is not a actual carrier oil. This is one that is created to become a carrier oil. And this is one that is so beautiful, so potent, where when we're talking about calendula, right, we have the calendula, which is from the marigold flowers. So this is one where we have calendula ointments and stuff that are always sold in stores. This is what you can do with the same essential oil. So calendula actually comes as an essential oil. And this is where when we're talking about dilutions, calendula oil, when it is sold, it is usually diluted in another carrier oil at a 5% ratio, at a 5% dilution ratio. And then it is blended into other essential oils. So this is where, for example, if you find someone has, this is a great one for kids, people with sensitive skin, cuts, scrapes, irritated skin, wound healing. This is a great one to be using where you can mix up a batch of calendula oil. So you can say jojoba oil. That's usually what I use as my base when I'm making calendula oil. And I'll use the calendula essential oil at 5% into the base of jojoba oil. So this is a great one where I mention also eczema, psoriasis relief, after sun scare. These are great ones that you can be using these carrier oils with, in addition to the essential oils. So now let's talk about the actual dilution ratios. So when I talk about here, the number of drops of essential oil per ounce of carrier oil. So 1 ounce is equal to 30 ml or 2 tablespoons. So that's where what we'll be referring to as whenever I say per 1 ounce is about a 30 ml bottle. So when we talk about a 30 ml bottle, if we're looking at a 1% dilution ratio, which is generally for infants or pregnant women, usually at about a 1%, half to 1%. So when we're talking about a 30 ml bottle, you're only putting in 6 drops of essential oil. And that's where you need to understand that these essential oils that doTERRA has are very potent. So you're wanting to be using less is more. So that's where in a 30 ml bottle, you're generally maybe only using 6 drops of an essential oil at a 1%. If you're looking to be using it for acute conditions, or if you're looking to increase the percentage, then I give you the example of 18 drops to get the 3% dilution. So for example, as I mentioned earlier for calendula, how I would do that is I would fill up a 30 ml bottle with the carrier oil. In there, since 1 ounce has 6 drops, I would multiply that by 5. So I would get 30 drops of calendula essential oil to fill up that 30 ml bottle to get 5% dilution. Then into that, you would then add in what other essential oils that you would want to be putting in. So that's how you would kind of figure out that calculation. So it's basically 6 times however many ounces or whatever the percentage of dilution is in there. So when we talk about, like, if we look at a 10 ml bottle, a 10 ml bottle for 1% dilution is 2 drops. So that's where, again, less is more. So just any questions, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to stop the recording so that if anyone has any questions, we can take those offline, and feel free to ask away. And if anyone wants to book a consultation to understand how they can have a custom blend created for themselves, or understanding a little bit more deeper knowledge, feel free to reach out to me. My number is posted there.